Welcome back to BMaster79. In this video we walk through a complete IELTS speaking part 2 and part 3 answer at band 9 on the topic describe a time when you needed to search for information. First, the format. In part 2 you are handed a task card. You get 1 minute to make notes, then you speak on your own for 1 to 2 minutes. The examiner will stop you at 2 minutes. That is completely normal, and it is not a penalty. Here is the card exactly as it appears. 3 prompts, and then the instruction to explain why you needed to search for it. That final line carries the most marks, so we will give it the most time. Our method is the story spine. Set up the situation in 1 sentence. Cover the card in the order it is written. Land the why, then finish with 1 reflective sentence, a coda. In your 1 minute, write 4 short cues, not sentences. You are building a route, not a script. So here is the plan I would write in that minute. On the left, the route through the card. On the right, the language she is aiming for. Notice the notes are fragments. Nothing here is a full sentence.
I'd like to talk about a fairly stressful evening last winter when I had to look something up in a real hurry. I'd just taken in a stray kitten I'd found behind our apartment block, and about 3 days and she completely stopped eating. She wouldn't touch anything, not the food I'd bought her, not even chicken, and she'd gone very quiet and listless. So what I needed to find out was why a kitten the age might refuse food, and whether it was something I could handle at home or a genuine emergency. I started searching at around 10 at night, which is the worst possible time because every clinic near me had already closed. I began with the obvious thing, typing her symptoms into a search engine, but that was a mistake because the results ranged from don't worry about it to absolutely terrifying, and I couldn't tell which was which. So I changed tack. I went to 2 veterinary university websites, which were far more reliable, and then posted in a rescue group where a lot of the members are experienced fosterers. Someone replied within minutes and told me to check whether she was dehydrated, which I'd never have thought of. The reason it mattered so much was simply that she was completely dependent on me and I had no experience whatsoever. I couldn't afford to guess. And what I took away from the whole episode, honestly, is that searching isn't the hard part anymore. Anyone can search. The real skill is working out which of the 10,000 answers you're handed is actually worth trusting.
Here is the whole part 2 answer in 1 place, so you can read it through and hear how the 4 moves join up. Pause the video here if you want to study it properly. Now part 3, 4 to 6 minutes of discussion and the questions turn abstract. Our method here is answer, because, example, qualify. Most candidates stop after because. The qualify step is what makes an answer sound considered rather than rehearsed. Question 1. How can people search for information now? Here are the ideas and the target language.
Honestly, the range is enormous compared with even 10 years ago. Most people still default to a search engine, though increasingly they use an AI assistant that summarizes things for them rather than handing them a list of links. But there's also social media. A lot of younger users search on video platforms because they'd rather watch someone demonstrate a thing than read about it. And then there are more specialized routes, academic databases, podcasts, or simply asking in an online community, which is often the fastest route to a genuinely practical answer. Having said that, more channels hasn't automatically made people better informed.
Question 2. What information can people get from television? Notice the plan builds in a contrast and then a concession.
Television still does certain things very well. News and current affairs are the obvious ones, and a lot of older viewers in particular still trust a scheduled bulletin more than anything they'd come across online. Beyond that, you've got documentaries, which can explain a complicated subject far more vividly than text could, plus weather, sport, cooking, travel, and so on. What television doesn't give you is control. You get what the broadcaster has decided to show at the time they've decided to show it, and you can't dig any deeper if something catches your interests. Although I'd say that shared schedule has its own value because it gives the whole country a few common reference points.
Question 3. With the development of the internet, is the library still important? The strong move here is to say yes, but redefine why.
I'd say it's still important, but for different reasons than it used to be. It's obviously no longer the only place to find a book. What libraries offer now is curation and verification. Everything on the shelf has been through some sort of editorial filter, which is exactly what the open internet lacks. On top of that, a library functions as public space, somewhere quiet to study, free internet access, and a librarian who actually knows how to research properly. In lower income areas, especially, it's often the only place people can get online at all. If libraries are under threat, I'd argue it's from funding cuts rather than from the internet itself.
Question 4. Does the development of the internet have any impact on some disadvantaged people? A two-sided answer is far stronger than a one-sided one.
It cuts both ways, I think. On the positive side, it's been genuinely leveling in some respects. Someone in a remote village can now take a university course or find medical information that simply wouldn't have reached them a generation ago. But the flip side is what people call the digital divide. If you can't afford a decent device or a stable connection, or you were never taught how to evaluate what you're reading, then you're shut out of more and more of ordinary life because governments and banks keep moving services online on the assumption that everyone can follow. So on balance, the internet has narrowed some gaps and widened others.
Here is the language bank from this video. Take 3 or 4 of these, not all of them, and force them into your own practice this week. Against the 4 public band descriptors, here is why this performance sits at band 9. And the caveat which matters, band 9 here reflects our own quality assessment against the public ielts band descriptors. It is not a certified examiner score. Your challenge: take the same card, but change one thing. Make it information you searched for and never found. 1 minute of notes, 2 minutes recorded, and then listen back once and mark every place where you listed instead of explained. See you in the next one.